Dear Lemurian chanters, here's another video, this time about breathing and breath support. I will go through a bit of anatomy with you so that you actually know what parts of the body are important for breathing and singing and breath support. First, I would like you to find out for yourself where your diaphragm is. The diaphragm is a large muscle which separates the lungs and everything and your heart and some other organs, but mainly the lungs from everything beneath the lungs, which is your intestines basically. I will step back so I can demonstrate. If you will follow the sternum, the breastbone from tops, this is the bone which is in between the ribs in the middle. Follow your breastbone down until you find a point where it stops. It's different for everyone, this is why I let you do this all individually. Beneath the breastbone is a soft spot. If you stick your finger in there gently and cough, you will feel as you cough that a muscle comes out and expands. This is your diaphragm. This is my sternum ending, and here is my diaphragm, and it will be on this level in my body, horizontally placed. This is important to know because above your diaphragm are your lungs, so this is already a way that you can check. Have you got large lungs? Have you potentially got a large air capacity? Or do you have small lungs? There's nothing wrong with having small lungs. Of course, people are smaller and larger, and there's nothing to worry about. As you breathe, the diaphragm will come up in a parachute shape. It's semi-attached at this level, and the middle part of your diaphragm will balloon upwards, and this way it will empty your lungs, and each time you breathe in, your diaphragm is flattening and widening your ribs. So one way to check also where your diaphragm is, make sure you're still on the level that you checked out where your sternum stopped, where your breastbone stopped, and put your hands on your ribs exactly on that height and breathe out. And you will hopefully feel that your ribs collapse a bit, and then breathe in. And you see that your ribs expand. This is the basic motion of the diaphragm, which is a bit like a piston of the pump, because your lungs themselves are totally passive tissue. It's only a vacuum from the diaphragm which sucks the lungs full of air, and then it pushes the air out as the diaphragm is going up. Now comes a very important piece of information. Anytime you don't make a sound and there's nothing wrong with you, the vocal cords are open and the air pipe is totally open so that the flow of air can come in and out easily. As soon as you make a sound, the vocal cords will actually close completely, if all is well. Of course, if I start speaking a bit like this and it's softer, and some people have this habit, which is fine as long as they speak at low volume, but if you speak like that, then some air escapes and the vocal cords are not completely closed. So they are attached at the front of your larynx, not to the larynx, but they're at that position, and the back side of your vocal cords will open and close in this way, but of course flatten your throat. I'm showing it only so you can see. Anytime you make a sound, the vocal cords close. One way to check this out is just pretend you're like in a group of people and you want to speak up, but it's not your moment. You can't find the moment, so you go, and as you feel the motion, you feel that something closes in your throat and there's no air that can pass. These are your vocal cords that are actually shutting your throat and making it impossible for the air to come out. As soon as you make a sound, this is what happens. Only there is a tiniest slit stays open, and this is nothing to think about because it could drive you crazy if you try to be conscious of it, but this is how it works. The throat is closed and the air is only a mechanism that makes a little mucous membrane on your vocal cords. It makes them vibrate through a vacuum, and this happens 100 times per second. The higher the pitch, the more closures, the more vacuums of this mucous membrane will be produced. So for instance, if I sing this note, because my piano is tuned in a certain way, this is actually 216 vacuums per second. Don't think about it. Just be aware that singing is not at all like breathing out. This is the point I want to make. Singing is not like breathing out. If you want to compare it to anything, it's more like holding your breath. So another way to check this out and to have the experience of how this works is first just sigh heavily, empty your lungs fast, and then do the same thing with a little bit of sound. You feel that your body is emptying. If you put your hands on your navel, you will, as you do this, you will feel that your abdomen area is collapsing, is actually tightening, the muscles are tightening. Now, if you, instead of sighing, make a vocal sound, an extended vocal sound, and I will give you a pitch and I hope you will join me. So we will sing this pitch and just hold it for a while. You may not hold it as long as I do, but just hold it for a while and compare the experience to the sighing. So this is the pitch and we go You can hear, and I hope you experience yourself, that you can hold that tone much longer than if you just empty your lungs with a sigh. So this is because your vocal cords are closed and the air is being distributed very slowly. If we are talking about breath support, it's all about the diaphragm. The diaphragm needs to remain in the lowered position. So my diaphragm, I breathe in, I relax everything below the diaphragm. So you must have heard sometime about abdominal breathing with your belly and all that. This is only actually about inhalation. So if you inhale and you relax the stomach muscles, then you will have the most air in the bottom of the lungs. You can imagine if the diaphragm was up like a parachute and you have tightened your abdominal muscles and you forget to relax them, the only place the air can go is higher up in the lungs, and actually most people find that quite uncomfortable. So even if you don't mind breathing high up in the lungs, make sure you also relax the stomach muscles so that the bottom of the lungs is filled as well, and that you have something to work with, because the abdominal muscles and some corresponding muscles in the back will start making a motion. This is my front and this is my back, and the front will actually move inwards and the back will just tighten up a bit, so that in the end you feel, okay, this is the end of my breath and I need to release. So each time you make a long tone, make sure you release the muscles. I like to call inhalation for singing, I like to call it reset rather than inhalation. If you feel you're out of breath while you are singing or toning, it doesn't usually mean that your lungs are completely emptied, that you need air in your lungs, but it means that the muscles that were working to sustain the tone are at the end of their limit. So if I hold a long tone, I hope my camera is picking this up, I'll stand on my toes. If I hold a tone, I extend my stomach by relaxing it. I don't push it outside, and I will show how it moves in. And release. So if I release the abdominal muscles, the air will actually be sucked into my lungs, and usually that's more than enough to have enough air, enough fresh air, so that you're okay to go on. If you like, you can take in some more air. This is personal preference. Some people like a lot of air and they like to fill themselves up a bit. Personally, I don't like it, so I don't do it. But if you like it, just play with it and try it out. But always make sure that you don't forget to relax the abdominal muscles, because this is where you get in trouble if you do extended toning and you don't have breathing pauses, real breathing pauses in between the tones. That's what I wanted to share with you about breathing. I hope it makes sense, and I hope it helps you in the toning practice. So to summarize, singing or toning is with a closed throat. The windpipe is shut off by your vocal cords, which means that you need to keep the air in your lungs. Keeping the air in your lungs is done by holding the diaphragm down. What you need to do to hold the diaphragm down is work with the muscles beneath the diaphragm. So these are mainly the abdominal muscles and some muscles in the lower back that compensate the motion of the abdomen going in. They should work together. So as your stomach pulls in, the back muscles, the lower back muscles, tighten a bit. You can always find out if you use either one too much. If you do much singing or toning and you feel that your lower back starts to feel strained, then you are probably using more back muscles than abdomen muscles. If you feel that your abdomen is getting work out, then rather than your back, then you're probably using more abdomen than back. I hope all this was helpful. I wish you a happy practice with the toning and happy breathing, of course. If there's any questions, you can email me at marcthelemurian@gmail.com. You can find my email address below this video, and I will try to answer your questions, and possibly if you have requests for new videos, I will try to make them as far as time permits. Thank you for watching. Happy toning.